All right. So, part one kind of got cut off a little bit. So, I'm just gonna try and hammer out part two. I got through about half of the topics I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I think if I recall correctly, I was talking about how when I do my weapons videos, I'm mostly just trying to, I don't know, kind of like help other people who are interested in similar things. But yeah, that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense contextually unless you like literally just finished the last video. So the next topic I wanted to cover is history, and the dialectical materialism that is associated with history. So one thing that I kind of get a lot of shit about is that I don't really revere history and the things that we have quote unquote learned from history as like law, or like I don't hold them to be self-evident, I guess. I think that things that happen in history kind of just happen. Like they're just like little chaos blots on a spectrum. A lot of people seem to think that like if you pay attention to history, you can see like where it's going to repeat itself, like a pattern, like a cycle. But I think at least in the like cycle of human beings, as far as like we are concerned, I think most of the like big events that have happened are not like cyclical. I think they're just random happenstance. Not random happenstance. Obviously there's like things that happen in the environments and the societies that like lead up to those cataclysmic events, like World War II, etc. But I don't think that it's like something that was always going to happen, you know? Like, anywho, I digress. Going up to the dialectical materialism thing, though, I am more on the like of the mindset of dialectical idealism, which was supposedly a precursor to dialectical materialism. I don't believe that we should be using things that have existed already as our like jumping off point to try and build a better future. I think we should be using the best thing we can imagine as our jumping off point for the future, instead of starting from where we exist and what we know and trying to improve. I think we should start from the best thing we can imagine and try to reach that goal. It's kind of confusing. I'm still kind of struggling with the concept of dialectical materialism myself. I only recently kind of started to understand it. But as I understand it, it's more of like basing your beliefs and your convictions in reality, and I'm not super big on that, which is not to say that I'm spiritual. I just think that it's kind of silly to root your movements in progress based off of things that have already existed, things that have already happened. It's like if your society is bad as it is right now, then like building off of a bad society is only going to make a slightly better society. I think it's better to imagine a great society and try and bring that bad society out towards that great society. I think you're going to make larger leaps and better progress in that regard. They might not be as efficient and they might not be as safe, but I think ultimately that's the best way to do it. That's my opinion, though, which is all these videos are about. Getting on to ableism. Actually, I already covered ableism in the last video, so we won't touch on that again. Technology. this kind of going to go hand in hand with just science and pharmaceuticals, medical industry, that kind of stuff. I think anything that we make with the intent on progression, whether it be through technology, education, medicine, anything like that, agriculture, the intent should always be to improve the overall quality of living for all human beings. And some might say we already do that, but that's kind of like a propaganda kind of thing. We say that we always do it, but it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing, because like we're really not doing those things and using those advancements as well as we could be. We're just using them well enough to continue to make a profit. If you remember not too long ago, if you were in the States, during the pandemic, milk farmers were pouring milk down the drains because they like literally couldn't sell it fast enough, because like no one was buying it. And potato farmers were having a similar problem, like where like there's like potatoes like became dirt cheap because like they just couldn't sell enough. You know, and then you had the problem with like gasoline like heading like record low, like sales numbers, or not sales numbers, but prices per gallon, because like it was just no one was using it, so there just was no demand. I think those are all like symptoms of a greater problem, which is that, you know, without the like capitalistic economic demand for products, you know, some say they're just not viable, I guess. I'm kind of lost. I need to backtrack myself for a second here. I'm trying to think of where I was at, where I was trying to go. I don't know. I lost it. Basically, the point I was trying to make is that, you know, a lot of these things, they don't have to be. They're only as advanced as we need them to be. And then like you can see how like sometimes like our advancements actually overshoot our needs in those respects. But like an example would be like we're always talking about solving world hunger or fixing world hunger, right? Truth of the matter is that world hunger could be solved like damn near overnight. The problem that they're actually talking about is that they can't feed the entire world enough food to sustain them and continue to make profits. That's the problem. That's the economic problem. If profits weren't a problem or weren't even involved in the situation, then world hunger wouldn't even be a thing. Like, we could feed enough people overnight. It's just a logistical issue. And that, too, could be solved practically overnight if it wasn't for the fact that we have to pay people to figure out logistics and distribution and shit like that. So, it's not. A lot of the problems that we see in the world are fabricated. They are self-made. They are problems that we have made for ourselves. Moving on to religion. Fuck it. It's another one of those things that I'm not keen on at all. Pretty dug in to my stance on them. I understand that religion plays a role and has a place in society as something that helps people cope with the existential dread and fear of death that is certain to come from the realization that we are a finite moral creature, society, species, whatever. But that being said, that's not the only thing religion even does anymore, is just give people, you know, a little bit of something to believe in. You know, people wage wars in the name of their gods and shit like that, and they still do to this day. They still kill people over differences in beliefs. So, yeah, ultimately, ideal utopian society probably doesn't have religion. You know, people just accept that they die, and that's just something that motivates them more to do what they want to do in life so that they don't waste any of their time sitting on their laurels. Because, yeah, like, our lives are finite. You should be doing what you want to do. If you want to do nothing, that's fine too. Just make sure that you really want to be doing that. Like, don't like make excuses saying like, oh, I gotta go to church every Sunday, so I gotta be in church for 2 hours. That's not what you want to do. Don't do it. And a lot of people already do that, whether they claim to be religious or not. Like, they just don't attend church as much anymore, which is great, because churches are basically just tax havens and like child sex slave operations. So probably best that we get the fuck rid of those things. So, yeah. Another one is art. I kind of already touched on that a little bit. I'm not really big on modern capitalistic art because I don't think that art should be something anyone's making money off of. Which is not to say that I think art doesn't have value. I just think that art is something I revere as more of an intimate thing. I think that making art for someone or for a bunch of someone's or whatever is no different than, I don't know, like making like pornography for someone. Like I think it's like I'm putting myself on display. I'm putting my abilities, my heart, my soul, my wide range of emotions, my passion. It's all for you. I'm doing this for you. So I don't think that should be something that people are quantifying, because that's not something I think you can quantify. The amount of passion, the amount of heart, the amount of struggle, the amount of emotion that you put into a piece, I don't think should ever have a number attached to it. I think to quantify something like that is insane. It'd be like to quantify how dangerous something is or how safe something is, or it'd be to quantify how much you love someone, like people try to do this. They try to fit these things in these boxes and label these things because it makes them feel more comfortable. But life has so many spectrums. Life has so many places where things don't just fit on a line or on a graph or in a box. There's times where like things just have to have space to grow or space to be interpreted or space to be nebulous. And things just are. They are nebulous. Some things are confusing or formless, and that's good. That's how that should be. Because those things being random, being unidentifiable, being unique is part of what makes life worth living. If all of this was just a simulation with coding that we could predict, that we could manipulate, none of it would be worth anything. It would all be predictable. It would all be repeatable, and there's no value in that. There's no surprise. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, uniqueness is important in life because it makes life interesting. And if life's not interesting, then it's not worth living, as far as I'm concerned. Like if you're just trying to copy everyone else, like have a fucking, stupid fucking house with a fucking car and a fucking dog and 2 kids and a fucking, nuclear family bullshit. That's your only fucking goal in life, is to get to the point where you can retire and sit on your fucking manicured lawn with your like 2 or 3 friends that can stomach you and drink beer under a fucking parasol. Honestly, just fuck off and die. Really. Like, genuinely. You're a waste of space. You're not helping. You're not doing anything. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care how you got to that point. I don't care that you earned it, because you didn't. You didn't earn anything. You just did the same fucking thing everyone else did. You were just complicit in the fucking capitalistic system. And I'm sorry, but I don't tolerate that. I don't forgive that. The fucking drone fucking mentality that so many Americans have of just fucking play football, go to school, go to work, fucking get degree, buy house, drive car, have family, die. I can't accept it. It's so fucking cookie cutter. It's so fucking bland. It's so fucking infuriating that millions of people are just sold on this fucking stupid idea of just this like narrative that is just it's a script for how to live your life, and people think they're going to derive joy from it, and they don't. They never do. They're always up to something. They're always doing something corrupt. They'd be like fucking like, I don't know, like fucking their kids, or like fucking having an affair, or fucking like, I don't know, like fucking like going to fucking like racist rallies or some shit like that. You know, like it's never enough. They're always finding some other like form of stimuli because the cookie cutter shit isn't worth living. And everyone knows that. I mean, they don't know it consciously, but subconsciously I think they know that. That's why they end up doing other things to excite them. Everyone's trying to do something to excite themselves. You know, we're all just trying to stimulate ourselves to keep ourselves interested. Which leads me perfectly into entertainment. If you're not having a good time, why are you here? Is ultimately where I feel I fall on entertainment. I think if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing something. And if you're not working to have fun to do something, then you shouldn't be doing something. Ultimately, though, I mean, we kind of have to under a capitalistic society because we have to earn money to do the things that we want to do. You know, it literally costs money for you to do what you love. Like, take a step back. Think about what you like to do and tell me it doesn't cost you money. Whether that means time away from work or time away from family or literal money to travel to your destination or literal money to prepare or get materials for what you want to do. Whatever it is you want to do, I highly doubt it's free. And if it is, you're probably making money off of it. But yeah, entertainment should be a big priority in civilization and in life. And I think that anyone that's bored in their life and still continuing it needs to really sit down and think about what they want out of life. Because what you want is important. It's part of your autonomy. You know, if you're not enjoying life and you're just living it for someone else, you're living it for other people, something ain't right about that. Just ain't right. And I'm sure you have something you want to do. Everyone does. You know, even if you think you're bored or you think that you ain't got nothing left or you don't want to do anything or you can't do what you want to do, I'm sure there's something you can. It's just a matter of building towards it. And obviously capitalism puts a lot of fucking barricades in front of where you want to go or how you want to get there. But it's important. It's important to have goals. It's important to have things that you want to strive for. Me, I'm kind of all over the fucking place. I'm kind of nebulous, you know? Like, I buy fucking guns and tactical gear because I'm fucking preparing for an event that I never want to happen. I don't know. I'm lost. You know? I get by. You know, I used to be really big on trying to prepare and trying to look for the future, but I can't do that anymore. I have to live in the moment. Because if I don't live in the moment, then I get in my head and it goes to a scary place. Last one I have written here is about sex. I have kind of a really odd view of sex, considering my political stances. I think, honestly, I think sex should be something that is very intimate and person to person. Obviously, with where we're at in a society right now, sex has become very commoditized. Sex has become very accessible. Sex has become very watered down, I would say, honestly. I think that's a good way to put it, as weird as that's going to sound. It's in your face all the time. There's entire industries that are made to, stimulate your sexual organs and stimulate your sexual senses. There's entire industries that are meant for satisfying you sexually, with toys and gizmos and all kinds of fucking knickknacks and whatnot. And I'm not gonna like sit here and like try to like sell you a story where I'm some kind of like Puritan who doesn't indulge in any of these things. But I definitely do think that at the end of the day, at least from a person to person perspective, I think sex should be safe for people that you love. And I mean truly people that you love. Like you don't want to like say like, oh, I think I love them, I should have sex with them. Like, you should know you love someone before you commit to having intercourse with them. And I know that's super fucking backwards for someone like me to say, because that's usually something that comes from a place of religion or a place from conservatism. I don't have any faith-based reasons why I think you shouldn't just be going around having wild sex. But I think that that's a really like carnal, like base thing to be satiating. And again, that kind of goes against what I was saying with like, religion, where like I think you should be always trying to be doing what you want to do and trying to please yourself. But I also think that you should be investing in a person that's going to be close to you, that's going to make you feel loved. I'm gonna get kind of personal here and kind of just share my love story. When I was born with my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, and I came out blue. I was already trying to kill myself, is what I joke about. For most of my young life, as a young kid, elementary school and whatnot, I was very suicidal. My parents remember it a lot different, say that I was always playing with toys and shit like that. Had a lot of initial burst stimuli when I was a kid when it comes to like learning new things and like asking questions and just understanding science. But eventually I hit the wall where I kept asking why, because that's what little kids do. They ask why. But I kept asking why, and I would always get to these points where there was a brick wall, where there was no more why, there was no answers. But I was always trying to understand and always trying to wrap my head around things. I was always a very curious child trying to understand things. And, when I realized that religion was just a fucking story tale that was told to me at bedtime, it was like, so who created everything? What created everything? Like that kind of thing. And those questions were unanswerable for the people that were surrounding me in my childhood. There was no answers for that. There was no option of atheism, because that was unprecedented in my local area, as at least within the circles of my family. So I got very depressed. I got very suicidal. Had a lot of existential dread as a 5-year-old. And, a lot of the schools, the elementary schools that I was in, saw that as depression and basically forced me to take antidepressants. And at the time, there was a very experimental type of antidepressant that I was put on that was supposed to be meant for kids. So I was like a trial patient, basically. and it absolutely destroyed my metabolism. I basically stopped metabolizing food the way I should. I started gaining. I had rapid weight gain. I went from like, I don't know, like maybe like 60, 70 pounds when I was in first grade to being like, I want to say like 110, 120 in second or third grade. Just massive weight gain. So that was fun. And it only kept going up from there. I remember being just getting into high school, so like just after 8th grade, I was at 180. And I remember thinking like that was like, I was like, I hope this is the highest I ever get, kind of thing. And it's like funny because like now I've doubled that. And obviously some of the blame's got to be placed on me. Obviously, I'm not doing a whole lot to change like my diet, my exercise, anything like that. But you know, I was always a depressed kid, and I'm still a pretty depressed individual most of the time. So you know, like staying healthy and dieting and exercising isn't exactly something I do or want to do. I don't have any motivation to do it. And a lot of people say, well, you just got to do it because it makes you feel better. Well, I've tried it. I've definitely tried it. I've tried exercising. I've tried dieting. And it's not fucking for me. It breaks me down, like, even worse. Like, I get so much more depressed if I have to give up the foods that I love or give up my free time to exercise. But so I struggled with depression most of my life, and you know, I had a really bad couple relationships in my late teens, and they definitely made the depression worse. Compounded it, for sure. But meeting my wife, Jory, or starting to talk to her rather, in 2011, like, gave me something to hope for. It gave me something to strive for. And it felt like someone cared about me, and I cared about her, and she was something I could invest in, and something that I felt like I wanted to commit my time to, and I wanted to commit myself to. You know, it was one of those things where like I could have talked to any girl, you know, like obviously I wasn't gonna succeed with any girl, but I could have talked to any girl, and for a while there I was talking to a lot of girls. But I wanted to be with someone that I wasn't just going to be physically attracted to. I wanted to be with someone that was going to be able to talk with me and have conversations with me that I would be able to bounce ideas off of and have intimate late night conversations with. Because ultimately, your spouse should be a friend. Your spouse should be a friend that you feel close with, that you can confide in, that you can tell your deepest, darkest secrets to, and that you can listen to theirs, and you can feel comfortable, and you can feel warm and happy, and you know, like they should feel like a family member that was never a family member. For a lot of people, for me, my family, like, I was never really close with any of my family members. I was kind of close with my mom for a while, and then she fucked that up. But yeah, I don't want to get like weird on the like fucking like Freudian shit and say like, oh, your spouse should be like a family member. Like, that sounds fucking weird, but I think you know what I mean. Like, it's someone you feel really close and comfortable with. I think if your only goal in finding a spouse is just finding someone that you want to put your genitals into or on top of, then I think you're just going about it the wrong way. Which is not to say that there is a right or wrong way, because some people are just different that way. I mean, obviously, I'm monogamous. So I seek a monogamous relationship. I have a monogamous relationship. But I know that's not for everyone. I'm gonna be honest, I can't really wrap my head around it. Like, something outside. Can't wrap my head around the thought of other types of relationships. But anywho, I think I've covered most things. If I need to do a part 3, maybe I'll do a part 3. I'm sure there's a lot of confusion and head scratching about all this stuff, especially because I probably didn't present this in the most eloquent way I could have. But hopefully, between the part 1 and the part 2, I've talked about a lot of subjects that needed to be covered that were kind of confusing to people. Yeah, so that's gonna be that.